Hey everyone, Alex here. This is the final video for this project on a real estate. So first I'm gonna show you what is this project all about and how it was built, what blocks I used, default blocks or custom blocks. So let's start from checking how it was built. So uh, header, hero, these are just standard uh, Gutenberg blocks, nothing special. Um, then we have this filter here. This is a custom block, and I'll show you how it was built a little bit later. So here we basically can choose meta fields, right? And we can click search, and it will filter properties based on these meta values, right? Next, we have featured listings. These are uh, built from default blocks, right? So it's like query block, and then we have image block, title block, but then we have this price here, and bedrooms, bathrooms, and square feet, area size. These are block bindings, right? So um, basically it's just this dynamic data that is bind with default blocks like paragraph, and then it's just styled like this. um, then this New York, Chicago, and Vermont, these are taxonomy, so it's also default block. Then down here we have locations, right? So these are taxonomies, right? Taxonomy of that calls location, property location, and this is a custom block. So I have to create this custom block that called term query. It queries terms inside this taxonomy, basically these posts, and then we can output them in the grid like this, and we can control spacings also and how many items. So I'll show you later how it looks, how it was built. And this is basically custom block also from Deo Blocks plugin. So it's basically just a slider, nothing special. These are classic standard blocks, and this is also standard block. And let's walk through pages, right? So if we go in properties listing, so this is our archive. By the way, let me check if I'm on the okay. I'm in my live demo. Okay. So property listing. This is basically our archive, and here we can filter these properties, right? Then as you can see that there's Ajax here. So when we choose bathrooms, the page is not reloaded, so we get results instantly. And also you can see here at the top we have this attribute appended in our URL. So if I send someone this URL, they would open it, they should see these two properties. So that's how this page works. Then we can also filter by price, so no posts found because the price is set to specific range. So then if we click on any property, we get in single property page, which is also default single post template, basically modified for single property. And this is also dynamic data coming from meta fields, again custom bindings, right? Really cool stuff here, all of this. And here we have just a regular form here and description of the project and other properties here. And then we have locations, taxonomy, right? which looks like this. So this is also custom block, again, the one that the same on home page. And here we can see all the locations, different taxonomy, different posts in this taxonomy, right? So for example, in Texas, we have two properties. So, and if I click on Texas, I will go inside in this taxonomy and I should see two properties that are in Texas, right? So that's overall, right, how this project looks. Next, let's dive in and see how it was built, right? So let's start probably with this filter, right? Because I think that this is the most interesting and challenging part. So I used my plugin DeoBlocks to create this. So this is like custom plugin that basically loads files for Gutenberg blocks. So for Gutenberg blocks. So the important part here is our custom post type properties, right? So first this is the class that is responsible for all of this. So we register our custom post type property, right? This is done here. Then we register custom taxonomy that called property location. Then we register meta fields, right? Price, property, bedrooms, bathrooms, area size, property type. So these are meta fields. And then next we have some filters here, right? So how this works, right? So by the way, this meta that you see here, bindings, I show it in, I think, first video or second video in this series. So you can check it out, how it was, how it's achieved, right? So this price here in our meta saved, actually, yeah, let's try to demonstrate, right? So if I edit this item, this property, brownstone townhouse. In meta, right, for this post, it's saved without any commas, right? Like we don't have these commas. So you can see here it's just number, right? But on the front end, we see these nice delimiters, right? And then there's $sign also. So this is what this function does. So this function hooked to this filter, block binding source value, right here. And here we basically filter in and check in that our key, right, our meta key is basically is price or price per square feet, because we also use it to filter this, to add these delimiters, right? So, and then we basically format it and append $sign that we can also actually, right now it's hard-coded, but then we can hook it maybe into some additional hook that will, where user can choose a currency like that. But right now it's just filtering this, and the same for our area size. We also do the same stuff here. Next, how our taxonomy has image, because by default taxonomies in WordPress don't have image, right? So when we register taxonomy, it's just basically this. It's name, slug, description. We don't have this featured image. So this featured image, that's custom field also that is created here. So we have function to add image field. First we need to impute media, right? That is a library responsible for this pop-up here. and then we add inputs. By the way, this stuff was generated by AI, so you can also do the same probably. So just generate it, just tell that you want to have field for taxonomy, and nothing special here. It's just the important part is these inputs where the data is saved, and then this function is responsible for this pop-up. Basically, this is WordPress media uploader, right? And then we have another function when we edit image field, right? So I think that this one is when we edit. So here we have also select image or remove image. So if we click remove, it will remove it from our here, and then also from our database. And here's just lots of logic, right? Basically, we pull the data from the database and then display here, and then the way that it's saved, we save it in here using nonce, right? We are checking nonce, and we basically just update term meta with our image URL, and then we delete if our image is deleted. So that's how this was created. So these are three functions responsible for this to be able to attach featured image, right, to our taxonomy. Next we have this binding, right? So let's talk about this a little. So what is this bindings? So here we also count how many properties in specific taxonomy, right? That is basically function responsible for this. Actually, this right now is a little bit useless because I'll show you why. Because this is a custom block here, and all the logic is there. So this we will skip this for now. So let's explore this block here first, right? This taxonomy block. This block called term query, right? So it's a server-side block. So we, if we edit our site, when we are in editor, it will be rendered exactly the same here. Basically, I'll just show you when we load our editor. Let's see here. As you can see that it's rendered the same what we see here. Because this one is a server-side block, so we don't need too much logic here in editor, so that's why I decided to choose server-side render block. So what it means is that in edit function, right, in our edit.js, we use this component that calls server-side render, and basically in our render, when we render our component, we just pass our server-side render component and just pass our attributes. That's it. And what it does, it basically executes on the server and then returns the data, and that's what we see here. If you want to build it with React, right, not with PHP, then it's going to be a little bit different. I've done it before, but in this case, I decided that it's not worth the hassle, because it's, basically what we want here is just to display these properties. And here we can control how many items. So when I change, it's all updating, so no problem, right? So these are controls that for number of posts, order, and this here is like query controls, right? Then here we can also edit columns gap, row gap. Actually, I think ideally it should be placed under the styles here. I think I'm gonna change that because it doesn't belong here, I think. So we need to where we can control how many columns to display and gaps. I think gaps should be here. Okay, and then these are just like basic switch controls, the title and count to show title and show count, nothing special. And then there's display pagination control also. So the main logic here is all in PHP, right? So if we go in PHP, so here we will get all the logic here. So all our column size, everything here. First, we also need to identify on what page we are. So we also using this get query var page, and then we run our query, term query, right? That's important. Term query to get this property location, and we use term query to get terms. Here we get all the terms. Then we also count them. There's a function in WordPress, count terms. So we get total number of pages also this way. Then these are our columns. This is our grid. Then we are looping through these terms and basically outputting article, right? And for each term, we also get term meta, our image, right? You remember the one that we attach here. So we get this term meta and basically get attachment image and then print link URL. Then we have title and properties. So here we have title and properties count. And next we have this pagination. So first we check, of course, that if it's turned on in our editor, if we want to display it, then we just use WordPress function paginate links, and we pass all the data here, like how many pages and total, and then in what page we are, like this format. So this is our term query block. Next, let's talk about filter, right? So our filter block called meta filter. Also similar with our term query, it's also a server-side block, because again, if we don't want to do anything, any logic here in editor, there is no need to make it with React, I think, because user will not see if it works here, right? They will see it in the front end. So that's why we just what we see here, right, in editor, I'll show you. It's basically, it's just a bunch of first we have controls, right? This to toggle which we want to show, and then we have basically divs, right? Our filter here, these are basically like divs with select, and they don't display here, as you can see. It's just any. So this is just for visual only appearance for users, just to see how this block looks, but it doesn't do anything here, right? So that's the edit part, right? And then the most important here is, of course, is our PHP logic, and we also have some Ajax. We'll talk about later about it. So first, our PHP logic again. So first we check if our fields are selected here, so the user can select to turn off specific field. Then we get all the posts, get the terms, Then we check values, right? These values are coming from here, from the front end. So for example, for our price, we have this range, right? When we drag this range, this is just a UI component, right? But the value is saved in these hidden fields here. So as you can see, type hidden, and this is where the value got saved. And so there is a little bit of JavaScript here, but how the value get fetched from here is from these fields here, right? So when user clicks search, what happens, right? So let's try to demonstrate. So when we move, here we have value right now, max value as a 262. And then when we submit the form, it's a get form, right? So we can see it here now. And now you can see that the value is passed here. So now we can fetch this value and apply it to our logic and apply it here. So that's how this stuff works. So we get these values. Then we also get meta, right, for each post. For example, we loop through each post and then get how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and then we display it here. So for example, we get bedrooms, right, and then we get all the bedrooms for each post, and then we sort them to be in this nice order here, like from 1 to 8, from 2 to 8, and I think the allocation also sorted here. And basically we just what we do here is that we display our form. The important part here is that our form has action. And action, basically, what will happen when user clicks submit this form, what will happen next. So this form will, where it will redirect, basically, right? So it will redirect to our property archive. But we can redirect it wherever we want. So in my case here, I'm redirecting to property archive. And the important part here is, so each of these selects, right? So we get values from our get variable, so what we receive here. And when we get this value, it will be selected already in our input. So what it means, for example, if I choose bedroom 1 and submit our form, so in our get request, we now have bathrooms, I mean not bedroom, bathroom 1. And now we pull this value from here and then make it selected here. So now our bathroom selected as 1 here. So that's how this stuff works. And the same for bathrooms and the same for a price. So then for our locations, it's basically taxonomy. So we also pull all the taxonomies here. Let me find it. Here, our terms, I mean, right, from our taxonomy. So we pull our posts from our taxonomy, and then we output it here in our location dropdown. And again, the same as previous fields, we get it from here. So if I choose Colorado, now we have Colorado, now it's selected here. So that's how it works. And here we have additional check that when we are on the home page, we have this search button, right? And when we, after we search, when we land on our archive, we don't need search button, so we only displaying it only on property archive, right? Because that's how mostly it works on real websites, so we are trying to imitate this. And how this, okay, so this is how this filter created, how the data got filtered, right? For example, if I choose bathrooms 5, if I just pass it here like this. By default, I will not see these results like this here. By default, WordPress query does not recognize this, right? So what we need here is we need to add additional filter to modify query, right? So what we are doing here, first we are checking that we are in the posts, in the archive page, and here we are checking again the value coming from here, from our get. And we pass it, we modify our query like this, right? We use query set and modify our, so this one in this case is taxonomy query, so we modify it here. And the same for bedrooms and bathrooms and max price, min price. We set meta query, right? So we are basically modifying the main query to make another conditions to query meta fields as well, right? So we want to query not only the posts, right? For example, default query works like this. It queries the posts. How many posts? For example, 6. And that's all. It just gives you 6 posts. But now we are giving it another data, and we tell that we want to also query meta with these fields. And now this query is considering this meta here. So that's how it works here. So if I put bathroom 1, it will show me the post that has meta value of bathroom 1. You can, using this method, right, you can add more fields if you want. Like you can filter anything like numbers. So in this case, it's numbers, right? How many square feet? We can also add something like maybe if this house has garage, for example, right? So the process will be very similar. We add a meta field, we add some meta value, right, to our property, and then we add control here, or like additional like checkbox, right? And then we check it using get, and then we filter our query with this new condition, right? So we can expand it and make it more complex if we want. So that's how you can do it using this. And I can show also quickly how Ajax works, right? So here when we are on our archive page, when we filter, this reloads, right, immediately. So this, it's a lot of code here. Some of this was generated by AI, but I'll just quickly walk through it, and then you can see how it works. So our slider is basically, I'm using no UI slider. It's like really tiny jQuery library for slider. So we are grabbing the values from our slider. So every time the user drag this, we grab these values, and it's updating here. So that's how this works. And then we have, let's see, yes, here when it's changing, we are modifying here. So the important logic here in this Ajax is this query vars, right, that we have here. So as you can see, when I drag the slider, we got something added here, and then I drag it again, it's modifying here. So this logic handled with this function query string parameter, remove query string parameter. You can achieve it any other way. I think there's another ways, but the way that it works, basically there's some simple logic here. It grabs the URL, and then we separate all the vars using this function. Then we loop through this and return it So this function gets these variables from here, basically these values, right? Then we have update query parameter. So again, what we do here is that we are using this function. Let's see where we call it. When we use this function, when we call it, we also pass something to this function that like a key, filter key, and then next values here. So, and these next values are basically, let's see. So to be honest, yeah, I already forgot how it was created. Some of this was made by AI. So, but these functions basically they split these parameters and then update it and remove it if needed. So this is all the logic is done here. If you want to study it deeper, you can of course read this code and get into details, but that's what it does, right? And then we have, this is important, right? We have push state. So this is a native browser API, right? History, so that we push this state without reloading the page, right? So that's what it does here. And then when users submit the form, we also have some logic actually to clear unnecessary values here. For example, if I select only bathroom, right, but I don't select bedrooms location, it will not, as you can see, it doesn't have right now bedrooms and locations. So we have this function that filters it. Yeah, disable empty values on submission. And then the important here is that when we modify, when we change, right? Let me collapse. When we change our filter here, when filter changes, when this event runs, we are running. First, we also applying these parameters right from here, and then we are running the filter product, this function here, which is the most important, right? This function, what it does here basically is it's getting, right, sending get request based on our URL. So getting the result, and then we receive this result, and then it's basically a whole HTML, right? And from this result, we find our container, right? Our loop container, where our loop located. So in this case, this is our container here. This is our container. And then we basically replace, right, here, our loop container with the new data that we receive from this get request. So that's how it works. And then we have, before submission, we have this like a little bit like a loading state. We can put like something like preloader here. So as you can see, it's white, right? So you can add preloader if needed. So that's basically how it works. If you like to get more, to know more in details, right, how it was created, leave a comment for this video. If this video gets a lot of comments, a lot of requests, I can make a separated tutorials how each of these was created. If you have interest in creating blogs, all of this, just let me know, because I want to see that you really want to see. I want to see that there is interest about this topic, right? Because I created it for myself, but if you want to make the same for your client, you want to learn, for example, how it was done, just let me know in comments, right? So that's basically it, and hope you enjoyed that. By the way, if you want to get this template, it will be available in our ONA products, right? So on our website, our ONA theme, we will this demo will be here, and it's part of the Blocks plugin. So you get all of this once you purchase our ONA and the Blocks plugin. So if you want to get all of this, feel free to check ONA, right? So hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next lesson.